Hi, and welcome back to the next edition of Up to 5 Minutes, where in less than 5 minutes, you'll get all the latest information in the world of real estate, mortgage lending, and hopefully you'll sound a little bit smarter at your next cocktail party. I am Eric Forte, a licensed real estate agent with KW Empower in Center City, Philadelphia.
I'm Alton O'Shields, a loan officer with RATE, also in Philadelphia. So Eric, by the time this video is posted, you're going to have the NAR settlement changes going into place. A lot of people talk about how this is going to affect listings, but how is this going to affect buyers?
Yeah, Alton, that's a great question. Buyers are entering into really a brave new world. And first, let's talk about the old way of doing things, which is this. Buyers typically just had a relationship with a real estate agent in some way. They may have had a family member or they may have met one out at an open house. No paperwork was signed, creating any type of business relationship, and you kind of went through your process, looked at homes, and submitted an offer. Also, a lot of buyers agents kind of advertised that they work for free, which wasn't really true. While buyers didn't directly pay their agent was paid indirectly through commission splitting with the listing broker. Yeah. So all of that is going away.
Okay, so that was the old way of doing things. What's going to change, and how's that going to affect buyers?
A lot is going to change, and I really think that it's going to be a positive for the consumer and the real estate industry in general. The first major change is that buyers and buyers agents are going to have to enter into a written contract which outlines the duties and responsibilities of that representation. It's a multiple page document, but it's going to outline specifically the term or length of the representation, and also the fee arrangement. And the fee arrangement is going to be negotiable between buyer and their agent, and the buyer right now is going to be on the hook to pay their agent at closing. This does not mean, however, that a buyer cannot negotiate the seller contributing to their buyer's compensation. While entering into a contract where you're directly responsible for paying your agent's compensation may sound bad, especially because of the old way of doing things, I think there's a lot of positives. One, like I just mentioned, you can negotiate concessions from the seller in order to put towards your agent's fee. But also, I really think this is going to professionalize the relationship between buyers and their agents. A lot of times you would have buyers working with multiple agents. You're not going to be able to do that now, because you're going to create, if you're working with multiple agents, you're going to really be creating a problem for yourself at closing. Also, it's going to require buyers to spend more time interviewing agents and finding the one that's going to work best for them, instead of just picking the first one that they meet, which has really been the way that things have happened in the past. And the next, and really the last thing, because of this new component to the real estate transaction, it's going to be imperative that buyers find their agent, have that agreement, and then are in consultation with their lender, because having that obligation is going to change things on the lending side, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're only putting 3% down and then now you need to come out of pocket for certain properties of that another 3%, that can really affect the way that you're looking at your budget.
Absolutely. So Alton, how are you advising your buyers under these new parameters?
Almost exactly what you said. Go ahead, find that listing agent first, where before maybe it was speak to the lender or the agent first. I would recommend locking down the agent first, then speak to the lender, and that way they can communicate together, determine what the fees are, and help determine your affordability.
Great. And that is another major change, because my advice was always, hey, before we have a consultation, go speak with a lender and get locked in. We're really not going to be able to do that now. It's going to really be finding your agent first, then going forward and getting your pre-approval and finding out what your purchasing power is.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it's not changing all that much. It's really just shedding light on the process, and like you're saying, add a professional element to it, a more set in stone way to look about things.
Yeah, it's really more about rearranging the deck chairs, but there's going to be a lot more transparency, and I think transparency and education for the consumer is always a win-win.
And we've been talking about the buyers, but is there a benefit to the sellers for this arrangement?
Absolutely, because of this contract requirement and buyers now having the obligation to compensate their representative, there's going to be fewer but higher quality showings for the sellers. Agents aren't going to be taking around buyers who aren't in the market to buy at the present time. So that means for sellers, you can be confident that the showings that are on your property, those buyers have been pre-approved, they have an agent, and they're very serious. So there's no more getting ready for people who are, looky-loos and just like to look at properties. So that is an advantage for the seller. And then really a second advantage for sellers is sellers are now going to be in charge and have say in what the buyer's agent's compensation is going to be. So this really gives sellers a chance to make more money and net more at the end of the process. That'll do it for the latest edition of Up to 5 Minutes. Thank you for spending some time with us today. Please make sure to leave any comments or questions about this brave new world that we're entering, because we would love to hear from you and help you out in any way we can.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well to continue to get these updates. I'll be back later this week talking about refinances.